Dear participants, I'm sure you've all heard of graphic novels and also Holocaust-themed graphic novels. With this short video, I would like to provide an overview of the development and a first impression of popular examples. Then you have already heard of the particularly well-known examples and have an initial overview. My remarks are based on an essay by Martin Frenzel. He researches comics and is the founder of the German Association for Comic Research. He's also an author for the Federal Agency for Civic Education. There isn't just Maus by the American comic artist Art Spiegelman, but I'll start with Maus. When the first part of Maus, the story of a survivor, appeared in Germany in 1989, many met this Holocaust comic with prejudice and rejection. The debate centered on one question: is it allowed to depict the Holocaust in comics? This was not possible. Could a comic come close to the real horrors of the Holocaust? This is trivializing, was the main accusation. It is a terrible simplification of the persecution of the Jews. Or isn't it? Spiegelman depicted the Jews as mice and the National Socialists as cats. That was initially met with incomprehension. Der Spiegel labeled Maus as a Holocaust cartoon. The magazine Tempo suggested that Spiegelman should in future show the Jews as little dogs and call his comic Wow Wauschwitz. The Frankfurter Rundschau imagined nothing less than the decay of the comic novel. Spiegelman himself did not share these concerns, of course. In Germany, there was much more concern about the property of using comics. At one point, I remember being interviewed and asked, "Do you think it's bad taste to have done a comic about the Holocaust?" I said, "No, I think the Holocaust was in bad taste." The animal masks are an ingenious alienation effect that creates distance, with the help of which the author moves towards the abyss of horror. I need to show events and memory of the Holocaust without showing them. I want to show the masking of these events in their representation. Spiegelman uses the stylistic device of the cat and mouse fable on several levels. Among other things, he delivers a parody of Disney's Funny Animals and the cartoon Tom and Jerry. Pretty quickly, the discussion changed. Spiegelman was awarded the Pulitzer Prize in 1992 and then also enjoys the recognition of the feuilleton in Germany. Art Spiegelman's Maus, of course, is not the only Holocaust comic, nor the first or the last. Master Race was published in 1955. It is not a funny comic at all. It is a tale of guilt and tells a story of a survivor of World War II. His trip in a New York subway evokes his memories of a concentration camp. You'll have the chance to read the whole 8-page comic later today. Now we jump forward in time. In 2005, the German translation of Pascal Croce's documentary comic for young people Auschwitz appeared. It had been excellently reviewed in France and awarded the Prix Jeunesse by the National Assembly. In Germany, it was given the aureum of the illegitimate Holocaust comic. Croce's work is based on research interviews with Auschwitz survivors. But in Germany, it was resented for not using the trick of a distancing and alienation effect in the manner of Spiegelman, but daring a drastic, realistic close-up that gets under the skin. And the critics saw the danger of an aestheticization of the Holocaust. Holocaust comics as part of the culture of remembrance. There were and there are many mental reservations about Holocaust comics, And some critics continue to measure comics like they were just children's and young adults' literature. It goes without saying that every form of artistic and literary examination of the genocide of Europe's Jews will eventually reach its limits. But that also applies to film, theater, novels, or even autobiographies. It can only be about approximating what really was. So we can't generalize about Holocaust comics. Maus is a result of a long and personal, painful process of artistic exploration. It emerges from the second generation, the children of Holocaust survivors. It is important to keep an eye on the many different possibilities of graphic storytelling and to consider the graphic, narrative, and staging dimension in individual cases and to assess whether this is appropriate for the subject of the Shoah, also considering the respective target group. And it is obvious that memory in cultural media, and thus also in comics, selects and supplements, it invents and interprets, downplays, demonizes, and glorifies. In a word, it changes the past in the process of its visualization. After the debates in the 1980s and early 1990s about Maus, the two pedagogical comics by Dutch comic artist Erik Heuvel, The Discovery and The Search, about a Jewish family that is deported to Auschwitz, sparked a renewed debate in the German media. The target group were children and youth. There was didactical material. The family was fictional. The accusation was that by not showing massacres, for example, an euphemism was encouraged. The search was and is used in history lessons in the Netherlands, in Germany. There is not the Holocaust comic, but there are many different works from educational comics for children to complex multi-level comics for adults. It is precisely this variety of genres that requires an analysis and classification appropriate to the individual work, depending on the graphic literary form, content, style, and target group. Holocaust comics represent an important part of modern remembrance work and media education. They are particularly suitable for children and young people as an approach to the subject of the Shoah, and visualizations help to understand sometimes better than texts. Especially biographical Holocaust comics are able to realize Saul Friedländer's credo, give memory a name. Frenzel writes, it would therefore be desirable for schools, libraries, universities, and adult education to have more courage to break new ground and use Holocaust comics more frequently.